When you're used to seeing nothing but pine-covered rolling hills or flat delta land and no buildings more than a couple of 100 years old, then pretty much everywhere you look in Europe, you're going to see something unusual. For instance, we saw one cathedral that was rebuilt 1,000 years ago, and the part that's even older is still there. Churches that have decorated everything in their sanctuaries, from windows to ceilings to anything that is paintable or carvable. But something I found odd isn't anything we saw, but something we heard. Bells in every city and village. Bells. Not that church bells and carillon bells are unusual, but we don't have them ringing all the time here like they do in Europe. The first place I noticed them enough to reach for my camera and record them was in the town of Edam, in the district of North Holland in the Netherlands. Now, just a heads up, when you take a tour of these old European cities, more than likely you're going to have to walk wherever you go because the streets are so old and narrow. Modern cars, in a lot of cases, can't even get down them, much less a tour bus. So as we were walking through Edam, these bells started ringing. And there was a church up ahead, so I assumed they were coming from the church. Maybe, maybe not. But they just kept ringing. And my first thought was, if this happens a lot here, I'm glad I don't live in this neighborhood. And come to find out, many newcomers to villages in the Netherlands do complain about the bells going off all the time. At least I saw something about that in Google. But it wasn't just the small villages or small churches. For instance, the bells in the Cologne Cathedral in Germany started ringing while we were there. I figured they were chiming the time, but after about 14 or 15 o'clock, I figured it was for something else. Googling again, church bells are rung to call worshipers to service, but it wasn't that. Now, not these particular bells perhaps, but bells are also rung to call people to prayer. 3 times a day is the normal frequency. Religious holidays are another good reason to strike up the bells. And then there are a number of other reasons why they ring church bells in Europe at odd times and on odd days. Now, for instance, on March 3rd, 2022, all the church bells in Europe rang out in united support of Ukraine when the invasion started. Some bells in some towns ring in memory of battles that took place in those towns and wars from the World Wars all the way back into the Middle Ages. The pealing bells of Europe, from a soft, distant murmur from a distant tower on Sunday morning to a I can't think over this racket intrusion into your afternoon stroll. They're there to call us to something, remind us to do something, or remember something, or as a celebration that life is good and we're still alive, to perhaps a personal meaning known only by the hearer. And they ring and peal and chime the time as well as the times of our lives.